Moment. Let's go to the House Majority Whip, Tom Emmer. Congressman, always good to have you. He's not happy. He's not coming to blows with anyone, so that's good. But what do you make of just the reaction on the part of some more conservative members who didn't like this deal?
Well, good to be with you, Neil. First thing I would say, based on your previous package with the Senate and the Teamsters and with the current one, don't you think the Thanksgiving break came at the best possible time? I think people need to. I think people need to bring it down just a little bit. Maybe a little time with their families will help that. But in this case, I understand my colleague's frustration, without a doubt. But the Speaker made this play because while he believes that we need to fight, we want to fight to win. He put Democrats in a position, Neil, where they had no choice but to go with his version of a two-step process. And I'll tell you why that's so important. But they didn't want to be arguing next week during Thanksgiving as to who was responsible for not paying our troops and everything else that goes with that. What Mike Johnson did here is he has given us weeks that we need desperately to get the appropriations process done. For the first time in 30 years, we've got every bill that has come across the floor now, Neil. They are all ready for conferencing with the Senate. And I believe once we get back, that's exactly where our Speaker is going to take us. Let's get these bills conferenced. Let's get them passed through conference reports on the House floor and the Senate floor. Let's get the appropriations process done with all 12 bills for the first time since 1994.
Well, I guess you're right. We'll see how that all finishes out. But it seems like what you're saying then, and you are the majority whip, I mean, that Speaker Johnson won't suffer the same fate as then Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who, because he had to work with Democrats to get his measure to avoid a shutdown passed, one bolted, and we all know what happened. You don't think the new Speaker will suffer that same fate?
Well, I think that's the way it gets reported. But keep in mind, Kevin McCarthy, our previous Speaker, put a stopgap funding on the bill on the floor a couple days before that CR that you're talking about that had a 30% cut. It had a debt commission to deal with our debt next year. And it also had the policy that the House has passed, the strongest border policy in 20 years. We had 20 of our members, for 21, for some reason, decide they weren't going to vote for that, and that necessitated the next step. I'm not going to get into why that happened, but we lost about 4 weeks there, Neil, as Speaker Johnson was finally installed. And what this vote did for us this week, this stopgap funding bill, is it now allows us, because we lost those valuable weeks, to finish the appropriations process. And at the end of the day, if you want real reform in Washington, the House has to restore the power of the purse and hold the executive branch accountable.
Could I ask you just a personal question about your fellow Republicans? They've been tense, and there have been these, near come to blows moment. I mentioned Speaker McCarthy and this kidney, elbowing, whatever you want to talk about with a fellow Republican. What's going on with your guys? I mean, are they losing it, or is it the sign of frustration? What's happening?
I'm told that when John Boehner was Speaker after a shutdown, I don't know what year, that Congress was stuck in session for 6 straight weeks, at which point Speaker Boehner back then, I'm told, said, you know what, everybody has to go home before somebody gets hurt. Keep in mind, Neil, that we have now been in session up till last week 10 straight weeks. We've almost doubled that experience. And this is just human beings trying to, in a very high-intensity environment, try to work together. And like I said, Thanksgiving couldn't come at a better time, Neil.
All right, have a great one yourself, Congressman. Good seeing you again.